Welcome to the unfindable inquiry and the deficient self. So in the other video, we've looked at compulsion and anxiety, but here we're going to look at our self-identity because this often fuels addiction. The first part of the inquiry is about naming who you think you are. That has to happen before we do the looking. So let's take a moment and just find out what is the name that you would put on yourself that has to do with deficiency or inadequacy. Is it that you're not good enough, that you're unworthy, that you're unsafe, a victim, black sheep, inadequate, incomplete? Is it something else? It's your story, so you get to name it. Take a moment and just sit with me and see what it is. What's behind all the addiction? How is it that you feel about yourself? Put a name on that. Even if you have to turn the video off, get quiet and name who you think you are, and then let's start looking together. Now, the second part, after we've named it, is we're going to try to find it. And it seems kind of crazy that we're actually going to try to find you, because you could say, well, I'm right here. But what is right here? What have you come to believe about yourself? And now that you've named it, you know what you believe about yourself. Take, for example, if you said, well, I'm not good enough, that's who you think you are. That's what you've named yourself. Is that really who you are? And if not, don't you want to know what life is like without that story? Or without believing that story? If so, let's take a look. With this inquiry, just like the others, there's one question that you ask towards each of the three elements of words, pictures, energy. And the question is that you? That's how I'm going to ask the question in the video. You can fill in the blank. So if I say, is that you? You can say, the one who's the black sheep. Is that me, the one who's the black sheep? Or, is that me, the one who's not good enough? Go ahead and fill in the blank. It's your story. Start by getting quiet again, and start with rest always, which just means notice that you're aware. When you get really quiet, you notice that there are words coming through that you hear. There may be mental pictures, memories, or sensations. Let's start by going back to childhood, believe it or not. I want you to look at a picture of childhood that really, when you think about it or you look at that thought, it makes you feel like that's who you are, that you really aren't good enough, or you really are the black sheep. And I just want you to look at that picture really quietly, letting it float there in your awareness, doing nothing with it, but looking at it. And here's the question. Is that picture by itself actually you? And that's where you fill in the blank. And here's how you answer. Don't get your mind involved. Just listen to the body. Is there a feeling or a sensation with it? If so, just say, yeah, that's me. And just let that picture be there until it begins to naturally soften and disappear into the space, and then bring your attention into that sensation and rest. Feel into it, right into the center of it. Relax and let it be, noticing the space around it. Now again, some of you see shapes down there or colors, and some of you don't. For those that don't, just feel into that sensation in the space and let it be. For those who see shapes or colors, pull up the shape or the picture that goes with that and bring it up and look at it. Whatever it is, just rest with it, let it be. Is that you? The one who's not good enough, or whatever the story is. In other words, is that shape you? Or is that sensation by itself actually you? And then just be quiet and watch the shape, if it is a shape, or feel the sensation Just let it be there. If it seems like you, it means the Velcro effect is happening, which means there's something that is coming up with that sensation or that shape. Maybe it's some words. Maybe it's another sensation, another picture. Whatever it is, just notice it. Turn your attention towards it. Whatever we turn our attention towards, we diminish its power. Whatever we turn away from, we give it power. So we turn towards everything. Turn towards whatever picture or words are coming up with that, and then just look at those words. You can even spell out words if there are words there, or you can just hear them. Hear them by themselves without anything else. If it's a picture, look at that picture by itself and let it float there. Is that you? The key is just to let it be just let it be as it is, whether it's words that you hear or a picture, until it naturally fades into the presence. And when it fades, take a short moment, like I was explaining in the other video. Take a moment without thought and just rest. Notice the space in the room and in your body, the quietness, and bring your attention down into any sensation. Remember, while looking at words or pictures, it's okay to say yes. A yes tells you that there's a feeling or sensation with it. That's why you rest and bring your attention into the sensation or feeling and let it be. Whenever you're feeling a sensation or a feeling and you need more time, you can always stop the video and just rest with that, and then turn the video back on. So as you're feeling into that sensation right now, just explore it. Notice what else is happening down there. Is it just a sensation by itself? If so, is that sensation you, the one who's not good enough, or whatever the story is? If you get a no, that just means there really aren't any words and pictures on it. You clearly feel it as just a sensation in the presence, and you let it be there until it just naturally begins to soften and merge with the space. Again, you can stop the video if you need to be with that. But again, some of you may say yes because there's something that goes with that sensation, and it's always either words or pictures. And pictures, by the way, include shapes. So notice, is there a shape that goes with it? Is the feeling round? Is there a fist picture down there or something else? Look at that shape. Pull it up and look at it. Maybe it's just some words like, I've always felt this way, or this hurts. Listen to the words by themselves coming through the space, or put them up on a billboard. Whatever you're looking at, whether it's a picture or shape or words, is that by itself you? And then just let it be. Notice how everything floats freely in the space, and your only real job here is to be aware of it and let it be. And notice that whatever you're looking at, whatever you look at directly, eventually begins to fade, whether it's a picture or words. And whenever it does, just rest again in that short moment. Relaxing without words and pictures, being simply present and aware. And now let's switch the inquiry a little bit. I want you to open your eyes and look at me and look around the room without words and pictures, as if you're just present, like a dog would be present sitting on a bed. A dog is not heavily thinking. They're just here and aware, taking in the colors, the sounds, the sensations, resting. And I want you to rest as what's aware. So you're not aware of words and pictures, you're just aware in a very basic sense. Is that awareness the one who's not good enough, or the one who's unsafe, or whatever your story is. Ask yourself that. Is this awareness without words and pictures, this awareness that's just present to the moment, is that by itself the one who's not good enough? Or is it just aware? Now rest. Rest, letting everything be as it is, whether you see more words or pictures. You probably gave yourself an answer to that question, is the awareness the one who's not good enough? You probably said no because you notice it's just aware. But if you said yes, it just means there are some words or pictures coming up. So let's go back to the childhood thing. Let's go back to that picture that you looked at just a second ago of something that happened, maybe something your father said, whatever the picture was. Just let it be there again. And look at it a second time here, just resting with it. Notice if there's any energy, any sensation with it. Here's the question: is that picture by itself, all by itself, floating in the space, is that actually you? The one who's not good enough, or whatever it is. Don't think about it. Just rest and see if that picture by itself is you. Does the picture eat like you eat every day? Does the picture breathe? Does the picture answer or speak? Or does it just appear as a picture that you're aware of? Rest and look at it. The key when you ask the question, is that me, is to see whether there's a sensation or emotion still Velcroed to it. So let the picture just fade very gently into the presence. Just by looking at it, it'll naturally fade. And then when it does, take another short moment of resting. Notice that you're aware, and now feel into whatever that sensation is. Just like the sponge and the water metaphor, where just like water seeps all the way into a sponge, that's how I want you to feel into and bring attention to that feeling. Bring your attention all the way into it. Feel it from the inside out and just rest with it, noticing the space around it and how it floats in the space. This is what it means to feel directly. Now again, some of you are going to see shapes down there. You're going to see the shape of the sensation or a color. You just pull that up and ask the question, is that me, that color? Is the color blue right there, me, the one who's not good enough? And then rest with it, looking at it. Are you a color? How about the shape of the sensation that you pull up and look at as it floats in the space? Is the shape all by itself you? And then once the shape or the color disappears, you're back to where everyone else is. You just have a sensation now. Or maybe you have a sensation and there's another shape or another color. You just keep looking at them one after the other. Is that me? Just let it sort of fade on its own time into the space. And then maybe another one comes up. Sometimes there's a lot of shapes and colors that come out of a sensation. Just sit with each one of them and ask that question, is that me, the one who's not good enough, or whatever the story is? Until you get to just sensation. When you're sitting with just sensation, be very quiet, feel into it. Do nothing with it, not trying to change it, not trying to get it to go away. And ask yourself, as I sit with this without words and pictures, is this sensation or emotion by itself me, the one who's not worthy, or whatever the story is? Always, if you get a no to that question when you're sitting with energy like that, you just sit with it and let it be. But if you get a yes, it just means there's some more words or pictures Velcro to it. So if you got a yes, when you said that sensation, when you asked if that sensation was you. How do you know? You know because there's some words that are coming through. Mine out those words. What is it that you're saying this sensation means? And maybe you say, well, I've had this all my life. It's never going to go away. Or whatever the words are, just hear them coming through the silence all by themselves. Or even put them on a billboard. Or maybe there's a memory that's Velcro to that feeling, one that you haven't looked at yet. Or some other picture of the future. Just pull it up and look at whatever it is by itself. And rest. Is that you? Are those words or that picture by itself you? Just let that be as it is. All you're doing is being mindfully aware. You're being conscious, but in a way that's not trying to change your experience. You're just investigating it. Now, open your eyes and just stop for a moment and imagine that all the words and pictures are taken out of the way and you're resting again and you're aware. You're aware in the way that a dog is aware, sitting on the bed. You're just here. You're not in a story of being not good enough. You just notice that whatever we are in the most basic sense, we're aware. Is whatever is aware without words and pictures, is that the one who's not good enough? When you have no words and pictures and you're just present to life happening now, is that whatever is looking, is that the one who's not good enough or the one who's unsafe? If you get a no, then just enjoy that moment of resting and being without that false story. If you got a yes, again, just means some more words and pictures are coming up, so we just want to investigate it. Instead of going back to childhood, you can go back to that childhood picture in a second, but let's go with whatever's coming up now. How do you know that that's who you are? Whatever story you said, how do you know that? Again, how you know is because something in either words, pictures, or sensation is telling you that that's who you are. So look at that. Maybe some more words are coming up. Listen to the words all by themselves in the silent space and see if the words, the sound of the words themselves are actually you. Or are you what's aware of the words? Sometimes even though we know that we know intellectually that the words are not us, in some ways we still want to say yes. And the reason that we say the words are me is because you feel something with it. It's back to the Velcro effect. So just let the words fall away naturally. Take a moment of rest without the words. And then feel that, whatever that is, without any words on it, without any pictures, and ask yourself, is that feeling me by itself? Now let's go back to that same childhood memory, the one that makes you convinced that that's who you are, the one who's not good enough or whatever. Look at that same picture again. Is that picture by itself you? In other words, do you feel something with it still? If you do, just bring your attention into that feeling as the picture fades and rest with the feeling, noticing the space around the feeling, resting in presence. If you see a shape on there, you just pull the shape up, or a color, ask the question about that. Is that you? Go back to the sensation by itself, without the colors, the shapes. After they've faded, and ask yourself if the sensation by itself, without the childhood memory, without the colors and shapes, just the sensation in the present space, is that you? And now let that be. You can always stop the video just to sit with something, because you always want to do these kinds of inquiries very slowly and restfully. We're not rushing. We're not trying to get anywhere. And here's the key. You can continue doing this inquiry by going to the beginning of this segment and then just going through it again with me, looking at different pictures and different words, whatever comes up. And eventually, the more you do this video with me, the more you'll be able to do the unfindable inquiry on your own. The repetition of listening to me and following the inquiry makes it become automatic for you in your own life. So I encourage you to watch this video quite often.